Welcome to the Mischief Maker broadcast, where chaos, creativity, and common sense collide. Your host, Joel Freeman, was kicked out of high school in Alberta, Canada. He left home at 17 and hitchhiked around North America as a long-haired hippie and dope-smoking fool. He made a 180-degree change, becoming one of the first chaplains in the history of the NBA. As a professional speaker, Joel has traveled to well over 55 countries. His many books have been published in 28 foreign translations. Pieces from his Black History collection have been seen by millions at the United Nations and many other venues. And now, the Chief Mischief Maker himself, Dr. Joel A. Freeman.
Teenager Joel here. Well, I decided to step down from my position as an adult. Turns out, this isn't for me, but I appreciate the opportunity. Well, we got teenager Joel, bigger baby Joel, and tonight we've got, I guess, bigger Joel. I don't know, the Joel of the future. Anyway, it's a joy to be with you today, whatever time you're watching this. For those of you who are live, you know who you are, and everyone, of course, is alive who's watching this, either podcast format or live. But those of you who are live, you're welcome to weigh in this evening and ask questions. We have Willie Spears with us, and I tell you what, you're in for quite a treat with Willie Spears, and we're going to be talking about In Praise of Failure, about his new book. But we're going to be kind of meandering around his childhood, different people in his life who've made an impact on him, and other elements that have defined or helped to define who he is today, and some of the characteristics, the character that he has at this time in his life. And so anyway, we're going to be discussing a lot of different elements around failure. And for those of you also who want to check out the meaning behind being a mischief maker, go to the QR code above, and there's a whole link tree. You'll jump into, you'll learn about our sponsor. I've got some swag on. I always come with swag. And I got the Rosetta Universe and Jack Johnson and all the rest. And so you'll learn more about some other things on what the definition of a mischief maker is, and hopefully you'll become a better mischief maker wherever you are in your part of the world. We welcome people from Japan, Australia, Great Britain, Europe, India, all around, Canada, U.S., and we thank you for taking time out of your crazy schedules just to hang out with us on these Wednesday evenings live, and of course on podcast form 24/7. Now, one of the things I want to say about tonight's show is that if you're in business, and let's say you're in insurance or a physician or a teacher, whatever it might be, I want you to lean in to this, to listen closely to this show, because if you're in business, you can beat 99% of the people if you can master the shame of rejection, if you can master the boredom of repetition, if you can master the pain of feedback. You can beat almost anyone if you're willing to fail 20 times in a row and look stupid in front of people that you care about, and keep going long after it stopped being convenient. It's what happens after you think you've finished, you've done, you completed something. That's when the real work begins. I worked for many years in the world of the NBA athletes, and every NBA athlete that I talked with about this said they had people in high school and college that were much better than them, but just couldn't handle a mental game and the fear of rejection and all the rest of it that comes with it. So tonight, let's see, Willie Spears. He's written this book called We Should Fail More. And he's been an author, a number of books, keynote speaker with a degree in communications education. He spent 20 years, 2 decades, working in education as an administrator, a coach, a teacher, before he became a full-time speaker. And he has written 11 books. He writes a weekly column for a newspaper, and he lives in Panama City, Florida. He is married to Tanika. They have 2 children, Taylor and Kenneth. And you're going to be meeting him on the other side of a song I wrote. And Mel, let's play that song right now, and I hope you enjoy it.
Jacob was a fighter, but he fought to deceive. A man of ambition, with tricks up his sleeve. He stole Esau's birthright, played the game of control. Jake's life was broke, and God reached for his soul. By the river they wrestled, till dawn's early light. Left with a limp, somehow got it right. Get the big head fall, flat on your face. Walk with a limp, it's the mark of God's grace. Think you're a big deal, you're just starting to fall. But a limp is the mark of surrendering all. Saw the man chasing dreams that he had designed. Built his kingdom, left meekness behind. The walls came down and his plans fell apart. He lost what he built, but then he got smart. As the years clicked by, he had a scar to remind that God does his best work when pride has died. Get the big head fall, flat on your face. Walk with a limp, it's the mark of God's grace. Think you're a big deal, you're just starting to fall. But a limp is the mark of surrendering all. She was a woman who carried the weight of loss and betrayal, a cruel twist of fate. Her dreams were shattered, her heart torn in two, but in her surrender, God made her brand new. She now limps with a purpose on earthbound streets. Her once empty canvas is a masterpiece. The world says the strong are the ones who will rise, but God lifts the lowly, confounds the wise. It's upside down, who gets the prize? The broken rise up where pride is despised. He chooses the broken, the weary, the small, to show that his strength is above it all. So if you're limping today, don't be ashamed. It's a sign that God's love has rewritten your name. Remember this when life takes its toll. A bad day for your ego is a good day for your soul.
day for your ego is a good day for your soul. That song, about 6 months ago, my wife and I were in Jordan, and we went to the Jabbok River, the site. No one knows exactly where this happened from the biblical narrative, but you have a pretty good idea when you get to see the topography, the high area, and then coming down like a cliff down to a gentle cliff, I should say, down to the river. And just reminded, when I meet people, I look for a limp. I search for a limp. I trust someone with a limp. And I think today you're going to meet someone in just a few moments here, Willie Spears, a man with a limp who is such a gracious soul, has such a heart for people of all backgrounds and all, just everybody. And so let's bring on Willie Spears.
Hey, how you doing, Joel? Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm so honored to be on the show.
Willie, it's such a joy to have you here. I follow you on Facebook. In fact, anyone around the world, how would they find you on Facebook?
Just Willie Spears. Willie like Willie Nelson, Spears like Britney Spears. Put
Okay.
those two together, Willie Spears. You type it in and a bunch of videos should pop up.
Yes. And folks, you're going to want to like and follow and everything else, and just keep up with what he's doing all around the country. I don't know how many times a month, probably 20 times minimum a month. He's speaking all around. And Willie, bring us back to your childhood. I saw you wrestling with your dad on one video. He's still alive. You're very fortunate and blessed to have him still alive. And so bring us back to your childhood, any siblings, the rough side of the railroad tracks, the good side of the railroad track. Tell us more.
So born and raised in Panama City, Florida. My great-great-grandfather was the first black man to ever live in Panama City, Florida. You can Google him. His name is Hawk Massalina. Back in 1836, his father, Jose Massalina, came to what's now Panama City, was a free Spanish territory, and they came over from Spain, and they started a community, if you will, called Redfish Point. And so that's where I come from. With my grandfather, Hawk, he had 9 children. The youngest was a girl by the name of Helen. That's my grandmother. Helen had 11. One of those 11 is my father. And my father had 1. Once you get it right the first time, Joel, you don't have to keep having all these kids. He says once you have one like me, you don't want to have any more. But I'm an only child, man, born and raised in Panama City. My mom and dad both had a troubled background. Both were incarcerated, made some bad decisions. And once I was born, they changed their lives. Both of them.
Really?
Because wow. I'm talking about just kind of like your testimony, a complete 180. Was in the streets, as we say, was involved with drugs and alcohol and everything that was not righteous. And then they both joined the church. They changed their lives. So I never seen that side of them. I never seen them do anything that was not lined up with the Word of God. So I was very blessed to have a great childhood in that respect. Grew up public schools, kindergarten, all the way through 12th grade. Played sports, was not great at any sport, but I was an above average player. Went on to play college football in a little school in Oklahoma called Northwestern State. Played there for 4 years. Went on to play arena football. Then got involved in education. Was a teacher for 20 years. Teacher, coach, and administrator. And then after that, got married. I got to give you an updated bio. You read my bio. But I was actually married for 20 years, Joel, and got a divorce. And then that was talking about walking with a limp. And going through that, it taught me a lot about myself. I got remarried, been married now for a short time, and excited about this new journey in life. I have 2 kids, Taylor and Kenneth. Taylor is 21 years old. She's in college in Orlando, Florida. And Kenneth is working in Panama City, Florida, where we're from. And he's 20 years old. And I've written 21 books now.
Wow.
About 20 places each month. And I guess that's all of it kind of wrapped up in a bow.
So as an only child, what were some of the benefits and the detriments of that as you look back?
Well, when I was younger, I wanted siblings, Joe, like everybody else. Everybody else had a brother or sister. I wanted a twin brother.
Someone to wrestle with and get in trouble with.
Exactly. Or share a dish night with. I was always a dish night guy. I had to clean up the house and mow the grass and work the yard. I wanted someone to share chores with. But as I got older, I really enjoyed being the only child. I enjoyed having all my parents' attention. My parents never missed a ball game. We were always in church. And so I enjoyed being the only child. I talk to myself to this day because I grew up talking to myself all the time.
Wow. You ever answer yourself?
Unfortunately, Joe, yes, I was afraid like that. Unfortunately, I do. Like all the time. The other day, I'm on the plane, I'm talking to myself, and I'm answering questions, and I probably need to see a psychiatrist.
Now, as a child, as you look back, was there a coach, let's say other than your parents, was there a coach or a teacher or a next door neighbor, uncle or someone that had quite an influence in your life? And how did that happen and how did that impact you?
Great question. Too many to name. I'll try to name most of them, but there was a lady named Lola Brundage. She was over the youth at our church. It was called the Sunshine Band. And I wanted to impress her. My whole life, I didn't want to get in trouble because Sister Brundage, as we called her, thought I was perfect. Like Joe, she thought I hung the moon. She had no idea I was a knucklehead. And so I never wanted her to know about the referrals in school for talking too much or play fighting or fighting with friends. I never wanted her to know that. So she had a big impact on my life. There were these two guys in my church named David Presley and Lorenzo Martin. They were about 10 years older than me. And when I was a teenager, they were military police at our local Navy base, Tyndall Air Force Base, at the Air Force Base, I'm sorry. And they were so cool. As a kid, so they were so dope. They had the latest Jordan shoes, and they had the nice cars and the cool clothes, and they were good guys. And I really wanted to be like those guys. And then coaching-wise, my little league coach, a guy named James Barker, and had a guy named Coach Humphrey. Coach Hump, he was one of my coaches. And then in high school, middle school, a guy named Coach Harrell. Then in high school, Coach Harden, Steve Harden, and Greg Rivers made a tremendous impact in my life. Coach Rivers is still a huge impact in my life right now. Every time I write a book, Joe, every time Coach Rivers buys the first 10. He sends me money, and he says,
my goodness,
send one to me and give 9 away. And so I've had so many coaches that have had a tremendous impact in my life.
In what way, the last coach, other than buying your books, in what way did he impact you?
Was
there a specific moment when he just kind of came in your grill and just let you know something?
Yeah. So Coach Harden, when I was in 10th grade, our football team went to the Final Four in Florida. We were one of the highest ranked teams, and I had got in trouble. And so I was supposed to play varsity as a 10th grader, but I knew I was never getting on the field. So I found a loophole. You can play junior varsity, and then they'll move you up at the end of the year anyway. And so I decided to go that route, and that made Coach Harden upset. But then I got in trouble for talking too much in class. I was in school suspension, and Coach Harden sat me down, and he said, Willie, you have all the potential to be a leader, but you need to learn when to talk and when to shut up. Those are his words. And that right there taught me so much that it was okay to have the gift of gab, but you need to learn when to use it. He was a no-nonsense guy. I was at LSU the other day, and we were hanging out with some of the athletes and stuff. And a guy came up to us and said, when I played here, and he was probably 50 years old, when I played here, the coaches never smiled at us. The coaches never talked to us. He said, I'm watching these guys high-five their coaches and laugh and joke with, what's going on? I said, man, it's a new day. And so my coach was no nonsense. I don't think I ever seen Coach Harden laugh, smile, compliment us. It was old school, but you wanted to impress him. And he had a tremendous impact in my life, him and Coach Rivers, because they called me out and they held me to a standard.
Now, most, I've been in professional athletes myself for few decades anyway, working with pro athletes. And in football, I found that very few football players have a good relationship with their father. And the coach takes over as kind of like a surrogate father and knows how to bring them, like fine-tuning a lawnmower engine, too lean, too rich. They know how to bring it right up to the edge of rage for a game. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so, Joe, I was a coach for 20 years. I actually still coach now. My wife is head basketball coach, and I'm one of her volunteer assistants, or I actually do the laundry, but I call myself. But I was a head football coach of 7 different high schools.
Wow.
And I don't know anyone else that's been the head coach of that many schools before the age of 42. And what you're saying is right. one of my players just got released from prison the other day, and he called me. He didn't call me to say, Coach, I'm home, or Coach, I want to say hello. He called me to ask me to verify how good he was at football to his son and his father, who were listening to the speakerphone. And so he's a 35-year-old grown man, but he's still wrapped up in the success he had as a 16 and 17-year-old high school football player, because that's the greatest things he ever accomplished. And of course, I told him how good he was. I actually found some old film and I sent it to him. But I've coached 7 young men who have committed murder, and I've coached 8 who have been murdered. And when you coach football, it's an aggressive sport. Unfortunately, many of the young men you coach do not have fathers, but because of the nature of football, the team camaraderie, the chemistry, you become their surrogate father. And not just you, but your assistant coaches. We had 2 guys live with us. 2 of my players actually lived in our house, and they're both doing great in life right now. We keep up with them, and it's a great privilege. I call it being blessed with a burden. I was blessed to have the burden of adding value to the lives of those young men in that season.
Wow. And so you're still involved. I mean, you're like a teacher. You know, someone, I know my wife was an English teacher for many years, and she still gets calls from kids, you know, how do I write this? Or how do I do that? That's amazing. That's quite a legacy, really.
Yeah, I believe teaching is the greatest profession in the world, Joe. I really do. I talk to teachers all the time. That's my true passion, although we talk to Fortune 500 companies and athletes as well, and even children. But talking to teachers is so important because they have the most important job, but people think it's a thankless job, and they don't get the recognition, they don't get the adulation or the respect that they deserve. And if we have, like Joe, you're a product of some good teachers. I'll never meet them. I don't know. But you had some good teachers. George Washington had some good teachers. Martin Luther King had some good teachers. Everyone that we meet has some good and unfortunately some bad teachers. And so the fact that your wife's an English teacher, she's still getting those calls. That's how it is for all teachers. Because the student, no matter how old we become, we see the teacher as our teacher. And we think they have all the answers. Like this grown-up calls your wife because she just believes, oh, well, Miss Freeman knows. She knows the answer. And Miss Freeman is chilling on the couch doing a crossword puzzle. She's not thinking about the subject and predicate. And is this the correct way to open a sentence? Or don't end the sentence with a preposition. But that's the box they put us in. And it's an honor to be called a teacher.
Yeah, and when you're in a grocery store and you see your kids, they think it's like you just met a rock star or something like that. Because the teachers, I can't believe you're in here. Are you a real person? This is crazy.
It's because teachers are the first celebrity that we meet.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't think teachers are real people. We don't think have a cold or get sick or have bad days. They're regular people who need to go to the store and buy soap and toilet paper just like everyone else. But we don't see them as regular people. That proves their influence. The fact that we treat them like rock stars in a grocery store proves their influence.
Now, as you look back, you're flexing your resilience muscles, and you're first bumping into, let's say, failure in your life in some fashion. Can you take us back there and what kind of seeds were planted during that time and who was involved in helping you go through that failure?
In high school, Joel, our football team was really good. Our coach came in and turned our program around. This is in the early 90s. And in Florida, there are 64 counties, I believe, and there are several football teams. We were ranked number 1 or 2 for many years out of the whole state, not just in our 5A class, out of the whole state. And I was a starting wide receiver. And I wasn't as good as the guys that came before me, to be honest, or probably even the guys that came after me. But in my 2-year varsity span, I was one of the top receivers. I led our district in receptions. I was all district. And I wanted to go to a big-time college, like so many other guys. And so I was recruited by Cincinnati, Baylor, Florida, Vanderbilt. A lot of major universities sent me letters every day. And I needed to make, I think it was a 21 on the ACT. And I made an 18.
Wow.
It was devastating because I just thought there was no way I wouldn't go to one of these schools. I was arrogant, if you will. We would put our letters in our back of our pocket, and the letter matched our outfit. So if I wore orange and blue, I would put a Florida letter in my back pocket because it had gators across the bottom of the letter just so people could see it. If I wore black and red, I put a Cincinnati Bearcats letter I wore green and gold, I'll put a Baylor letter. And so I just knew I was going to go to one of these colleges. You know, it's a no-brainer. I just have to pick. And I took the test, and I made an 18. I took it again, made an 18 at the second time. And it was devastating to me because football was my identity. What I learned from that was, number one, don't be so overconfident that you don't over-prepare. I never studied for the ACT, Joe. I never went and got one of those ACT books. There were no computer books. I just showed up. I hung out Friday night after the game, showed up Saturday morning, and they said, you need a number 2 pencil. I said, well, let me borrow your pencil. You know, I took the test all willy-nilly, if you will. And when I got those results back, I remember being at the mailbox, 240B Craft Avenue, Panama City, Florida, right there in Millville. I remember being at the mailbox and opening that letter, and I'm looking, and I'm like, no, 18. And 18. Again, made it 18 again. I mean, I was devastated. Kyle Lingerfeld at the University of Cincinnati, he said, Willie, we just knew you were going to pass it, and you did it, so we got to give your scholarship to someone else. Like that, I was stuck.
That's devastating.
Right, devastating. And I didn't know there were other avenues. I didn't know about Division II football or NAIA or junior college. And I ended up going to an NAIA school, and it was a blessing in disguise. It was the best thing for me. Went on to win 31 games in a row. We won a national championship. I was a starter, led the team in receptions every year. So it ended up working out, but at the time, it was very, very devastating.
What position did you play, by the way?
Wide receiver.
Was that your chosen position, or did they kind of mold you and form you into that?
Well, growing up, I played wide receiver or tight end in Little League. And then as I got older, they made us play both, wide receiver and defensive back. So in high school, they trained us for both. I wasn't good enough to play defensive back for us, being honest. And so I played receiver. And then after college, I went and played in the Arena Football League. And in that league, you have to play and defense. And so my training helped me out later in life.
Wow. Well, Gloria Bevins, we're about 3 minutes away from our top of the hour. We'll take a break. Gloria says, remember as the band, Allison Krauss and Union Station sang, the next best thing to playing and winning is playing and losing. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that. So I think what I get from that quote is, at least you're playing, right? At least you're in the arena. And the truth is, if you play long enough, you're going to lose something. And that's what the book is about. I know we'll get into that later, but I learned early on the value of failure and being resilient. And if you're not resilient, as you said about your time in the NBA, you're not going to make it, right? If you can't bounce back, if you can't have a bad memory, not just failures in business or in athletics, but in our life. You know, in the book, I touch on 5 biblical characters who have moral failures, even bouncing back from those. I told a group the other day, I suggested that they look in the mirror and tell that person to stop bringing up their past. Oftentimes when we fail, we keep reminding ourselves of those failures, and so we can't get past them, we can't move on. And so being resilient is important, and I love that quote that she gave. At least I'm playing. If I'm playing and winning or playing and losing, at least I'm playing in the game.
Yeah, Dr. Donald Joy, he's no longer with us, but he wrote a book called Bonding. And at the very beginning, I think first or second chapter, he says, he poses the question, who's holding your trampoline? And he has a picture of a trampoline, 4 corners, and each corner held by, close family members, distant family members, and then acquaintances, and then everybody else, in our lives. And if you have only 3 of those corners held, the bounce back isn't going to be as great. It's like people going to the hospital, and they bounce back faster if they have a support system around them. And like I think it was Mark Twain said that if you're looking for a friend in the midst of failure, and it's not the exact quote, but if you're looking for a friend in the midst of failure, it's too late. It's building relationships with people, trusting relationships with people. Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, 100%. So what you said is what I preach when I speak. When I speak, I talk about the support system. You made a comment before we got on air. You said, Willie, I love what I see from your team on social media. Well, when you see me on social media, Joe, you don't see my team, but you see the results of my team, right? You see the great editing of Andrew, Andrew Kinney, who was for a long time was our full-time videographer. You see the careful planning and strategic organization of Crystal Mills. Like, you see the evidence of all of that. I once read a quote, or maybe I even said it. I read so many quotes, I don't know if it's me, Joe, or if it's them. But if I see spider webs, I don't need to see the spider.
Especially if you run into it.
Exactly. You have to say, catch that spider. No. The evidence of the spiders here. If I was working there as the athletic director, and we was cleaning out this old building, and I told the custodian, I said, well, we have a rat. He said, oh, no, I've never seen a rat around here. I said, well, there are rat droppings right there in the corner.
Yeah,
but you may see the rat drop. But he said, but I've never seen a rat. I said, well, sir, we don't need to see the rat. We know there's a rat or somebody walking around trying to trick us. So the support system, as the Mark Twain quote that you quoted, it's so important that we realize we can't do it by ourselves. Joe, the dreams for my business, for our business, is so big. There's no way I can do it by myself. There's no way. And if you can accomplish your dreams by yourself, you have some small dreams.
Yeah, I love it. By the way, hold up your copy of your latest book so that everyone can see it. And hold it closer, a little bit closer. There we go. We should fail more. Okay. Now, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to tease coming back. We're going to talk about why schools focus on building success, but don't address dealing with failure. And your thoughts on that. So, Mel, let's take a break right now, and we'll come back on the other side. Hi, I'm Joel Freeman, the founder of the Rosetta Universe. Join us in transforming this ancient artifact, the Rosetta Stone, into a modern metaphor for critical thinking and problem solving. Young people today are overwhelmed by information, but most do not have a roadmap for the practical use of that knowledge. By turning thinking into a simple 7-step Rosetta process, we are making it feel doable rather than intimidating. It shifts the focus from being smart to being disciplined, which is a game changer for many students who struggle. Our reach is for the following grade bands: K2, 3-5, 6-8, 9-12, college, and beyond. Give me a call with any wisdom and advice. Here's my personal cell, 410-991-9718. I'm looking forward to our conversation. Folks, the Rosetta Universe is our very kind sponsor for this show, and what I've done is I've developed 7 steps for solving pretty much any problem in about 8 to 10 categories of problems. And so developing a system that people can utilize, a process. And so go to the QR code above, and the first point on the link tree is about the Rosetta Universe. Of course, you can go to rosettauniverse.com, and that'll tell you all about it. We have Kathy Hughes, Ben Carson, Smokey Robinson on our advisory board, a bunch of other people, some fascinating individuals. And our plan is to develop a 5,000 square foot traveling exhibit that will draw people in through the gateway of the story of this epic drama of the Rosetta Stone, Napoleon, war, hieroglyphics, ancient Egyptian secrets, and then introducing people to the problem solving, how they solved that problem, and what we can extrapolate that for this generation that is bombarded with AI, quantum computing, spatial computing, all the different elements that are coming at our generation. I know I've got grandkids, and I'm thrilled with a lot that AI brings, but I'm also equally frightened with the dystopian nature, the potential of that. And one of the ways we raise funds is I developed this this belt, the Jack Johnson belt. And the only way to get this, we'll be making 700 of these bad boys. And the only way to get this is to go to the link tree and go to Jack Johnson Speaks or rosettauniverse.com. And you can order this. It's a donation to our foundation, so it's a tax-deductible donation. But then you can receive it, and it becomes a I guess, a touchstone to launch, hopefully, tens of thousands of educational conversations about Jack Johnson and what he came up against and his resilience. And by the way, if Jack Johnson were alive, he'd be all over the Rosetta universe, this problem-solving, critical thinking approach to life. So let's turn a gentle corner, go back to Willie Spears. And Willie, I want to talk about education and, kind of showcasing success, but not giving tools for failure. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I may be the most unique person to ask because I'm in so many schools. Mm-hmm. I would argue that I'm in more schools than any person in the United States.
I believe you are. Yep.
Last year we did 261 presentations, and those were in close to 100 schools. So I'm in a lot of schools all over the map. I mean, it's in the South, in the Northeast, the Northwest, and I also have worked in over 15 schools. Mm-hmm. I've been on staff in over 15 schools. And with that being said,
that's crazy.
I think our main issue is we're result driven.
Mm-hmm.
We're more concerned about the end result or the perceived result than the actual process of learning. School is supposed to be about learning. Joe, the statistics on learning now are so sad. And this is not me Googling, this is not AI, this is me walking in a school, hands with an 11th grade student and asking them basic questions and them not being able to answer, them not being able to write a paragraph. I'm talking about 12th grade, 11th grade.
It's sad.
They can't write a paragraph. And I've worked with many people. I do consulting with several different groups. And so our number one problem is the people making the decisions on in the trenches. Mm-hmm. We have state legislation, we have the federal government, and then we also have superintendents. I just spoke to 150 superintendents yesterday. Yesterday, I was in front of 150 superintendents, and we talked about this very issue. And what happens is sometimes the superintendent forgets what it's like to be that third grade teacher. And when you forget what it's like, you can't help that group.
Yeah.
Right? So, Joe, I still substitute teach. Right now,
goodness.
I'm a substitute teacher. And the reason is I learn more in the trenches.
Yes.
So people ask all the time, how do you get so many bookings and why do so many people want you to come speak? Because the message I give, it resonates, right? It's relatable. It's not canned. It's not from the internet. It's not a speech. It's not a joke. It's real life. I'm giving you an example of what happened last week when I was substituting in a Spanish class. Mm-hmm. And I'm substituting a Spanish class the other day instead of arguing. And I was actually substituting on Cinco de Mayo. On that day, I was the sub. So we talked about what was Cinco de Mayo. Most of the class was clueless.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And all they know to do is ask Siri or go to AI.
Yeah.
And so it's sad when the tool becomes the project. So AI should be a tool that we use. So imagine working on a car. If your tire is flat, you get a wrench, and when you get the lug nuts off, you change the tire. But the tool is not the vehicle. It's just a tool to make the vehicle better, right? So
great analogy. Right? Oh wow.
So what we use AI as it's the actual subject. No, AI should assist us. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be the entire project. And I think schools it's no one's fault and it's everyone's fault. The school, when you move into a new area, you ask the realtor, how are the schools in this area? Right? They don't want, the answer can't be, they do a great job of teaching multiplication, the periodic table, the Pythagorean theorem. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear are they a passing school or a failing school? You want to hear the results. Mm-hmm. And so the school has been put in a situation where they're result driven. And if the goal is to get a result, we'll do anything it takes to get the result. Even if that means not teaching the child. Because you know this, Joel, teaching is difficult. If I have 25, 30 kids in a class, and let's say it's a math class, one student may be able to do trigonometry, and one may have trouble with basic pre-algebra, but they're in the same class. And so I have to teach them both. So I have to teach to the middle. It's the same with athletics, right? So if you have LeBron James on the team, and you have a guy on a 10-day contract on the team, you got to coach them both. And the great coaches can get the best out of both of them. And so I think that's our problem.
And then have them work together.
100%. And great teachers use peer tutoring. They'll say, LeBron, would you work with this guy? You have more experience. And then the other flaw I see, and I love teachers, but I'm just answering the question. The other flaw I see, if you're a teacher and you've been teaching 20 plus years, most of them don't want the difficult job. You want the easier students. You want the students that care. You want the students that come from good homes. You want the students that do their homework. You don't want the student that doesn't care about education, that's rude and disrespectful. But the truth is that veteran teacher is usually more equipped to handle the mischievous child, the low child, the challenging student. But what we do in education, we give the new teacher who's clueless the most difficult task. The new teacher gets the challenging student. And then after a year or two, the new teacher says, I don't want to do this.
I quit. Yeah.
I quit. And so, again, it's easy for me to say, somebody may say, well, you don't even teach anymore. And I feel like I do. I'm teaching teachers. You know, I was in the classroom. I was able to help a little bit of people a lot. Now I'm able to help a lot of people a little. And so that's kind of my tidbit on what we're focused on and how the end result shouldn't be the goal. The goal should be the trenches and actually teaching.
Yeah, we've all heard of undercover boss. I've often thought that superintendents should put some, makeup on or new hairdo or something like that and go in and teach at least one day a year, the school year. And that would help to ground them. And I think that in every business, it's important to be at the ground level and really experience it because it's so easy to forget.
Right. And also, Joel, instead of jury duty for every citizen in America, let's make every citizen in America teach school for 1 week. Every parent, in your district for 1 week, there will be a substitute teacher. It will give teachers great empathy. Parents will understand, wait a minute, I had no idea that you dealt with this. I had no idea that this what was really going on. If parents were forced to teach for a week, then we would be on the same team and parents wouldn't be against teachers. They will understand your job is very difficult. I'm having trouble with my 1 or 2 children. You have 30 of them in one classroom. My hats go off to you. And it will change the dynamic of our relationship between teachers and parents.
Yeah, when a teacher experiences verbal assault and battery from a parent that doesn't have a clue, it just makes you want to quit. Bottom line.
Joe, I speak to parents often, and the stories, parents have admitted it. I had a parent in South Carolina. She came up to me afterwards, and she said, what you just said about thank you cards blew my mind. Because I asked them, I said, if I fed your child, right, you don't know me, but if I fed your child, would you say thank you to me? And every parent, of course I would. Okay. How many of you have said thank you to the lunchroom lady at your child's school? From kindergarten through 12th grade, have you ever went to the school and said, thank you for feeding my child? You feed them 2 times a day for 180 days a year. I just want to say thank you. And they were like, no, I never. I said, okay. Now, if your child doesn't make the cheerleading team, do you contact the school? Yep. If your child gets a C and you're upset, do you contact it? These are good parents. Yes. Okay. Well, how about when things are going well? Do you contact the teacher and say that? Do you contact, my child is so smart. My child has so much confidence. My child loves reading chapter books. Thank you so much. Because the truth is the teacher spends more time with the child than the parent does. And so they're on the same team. And I use a relay analogy. In the 4x100 meter relay, you pass the baton, the runner in front doesn't look back. They just throw their hand back with trust.
That's right.
You grab the baton. So when you drop your kid off at school, you're handing it off, and the parents not even looking. They're just trusting that you're going to take care of this baton or take care of the child for the sake of the analogy. And we need to realize if we drop a baton, everyone is disqualified. The whole team is out. And so we have to work together. And for whatever reason, that those relationships, they're not what they should be. And we all can work better. We can work to improve that.
Here's just a business idea for you. To come up with a line of postcards, because postcards are cheaper to send than a regular letter. Come up with a line of postcards that parents that'll help do the heavy lifting of saying thank you to teachers. And I think that would be a huge, it'd be incredible.
Hey, Crystal's not going to be happy with you because now she has another project. As soon as I get off this podcast, I'm going to say, Crystal, I have a great idea. And if you don't like it, called Joel Freeman.
Because you can get postcards, like 5,000 for about a nickel to 10 cents a piece.
We've done it.
The traditional 99 cents retail value, it's anyway.
We've done it with Christmas cards in the past with our business. We order bulk Christmas cards and send them out to all our clients for that year. I just never thought about having them for parents, so parents could send them out to teachers just to say thank you, and they don't have to wait to Teacher Appreciation Week to do it.
And even if you just made them as kind of like a lost leader, you just hand them out and then put your website at the bottom of the back, where they write. And then that way, every postcard that is put out there becomes a marketing tool for the whole thing.
See, that's why you are who you are. That's why you're an international mischief maker. Because they just came off the top of your head. You didn't have to think about it. No focus group, no meeting, another meeting. It's just boom, a Joelism. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Willie, thank you. Have you personally witnessed a student who's dealt with failure and learned, maybe through you or someone close to you, to deal with that? Can you tell us that story? And it's just transformed their lives.
There's so many of them. I mean, so many of them. There's a guy, I want you to Google him. His name is Jonathan Walker.
Jonathan Walker.
I mentor him. Well, he thinks I mentor him. He's actually mentoring me. He just graduated from Duke University. He's brilliant, beyond brilliant. He invented a machine, and he was on a Good Morning America and Today's Show, and just brilliant. And I met him probably 5 years ago when he was a sophomore, junior in high school. He was the kicker on the football team. And he wanted to play running back. His mother wouldn't let him. His mother saw someone get hurt on television and said, "You're not playing running back anymore. You play running back in middle school." And he ends up being a kicker. You know this by knowing sports. No kicker has made every field goal. No kicker has made every extra point. And so the team that he was on, they weren't very successful, but he was a kicker who had all these scholarship offers from all of these Ivy League schools. And what happened with him when I first started talking to him and mentoring him, failure wasn't academically, he hadn't had much failure. He just hadn't experienced much failure, but he experienced failure as a kicker. And so we talked about what that looked like. And then later, when he didn't have the academic success at Duke that he normally has in school, when things didn't come as easy, when he had to study a little bit harder and a little bit more, and when he had to make major decisions about his academic path, we were able to talk about what failure looks like. And now he's on the other side of it. He's doing an internship in New York right now, actually. And so that's one story of a high achieving academic student. Another story of a low achieving academic student who didn't have a great support system at home, who actually lived with us, who actually was incarcerated, was a good football player, but kept failing, couldn't pass the graduation test. And I'm Joel. I'm trying not to get emotional. But a guidance counselor, a school counselor told me to stop trying to help this student because they're never going to graduate.
No.
Yes. Told me to my face, why are you doing all this? We're going to keep him eligible for football season, and then whatever happens, happens. Well, what she didn't know that he lived with us. He had gotten in some trouble. We lived at our home. He lived in our home for almost 7 months, 6 or 7 months. And so he's working on school, and he's way behind, and school is not easy for him. His personality is menacing. He looks mean. He's not good at communicating with people. He scares people when you see him. It's just it was his natural demeanor. It held people at a distance. And so we would work with him on those things. And he didn't like working out, so he and I would bump heads all the time. And he was a very talented athlete. Fast forward, I just knew he was going to graduate, Joel. I knew it. At the time, was school counselor was helping him with his grades, and he ended up not having what he needed to graduate. He failed the graduation test. So fast forward, he was going to take it again, but we didn't think the results were going to come in time for him to walk. So graduation at this school, every 10 to 15 graduates, in between them was a teacher. So there would be a teacher who would announce the graduates, then there'd be another teacher who would announce. So we had to read the names off. Joel Freeman, next one. Willie Spears. So we would practice this. So I was in line with my 15 behind me, And I was joking with them the whole time, laughing, making up. I said, hey, man, I heard that you didn't finish a worksheet in 4th grade, so they're not going to let you graduate today. And they were like, stop playing, coach. That's not funny. Stop playing. And I seen one kid. I said, hey, man, I see your mom up there in the stands. I said, I wish she would have brushed her teeth. We can smell her breath all the way down. Like, stop playing, coach. Stop playing. So I'm laughing and joking with these guys. When I get up to the lady, I wish I could remember her name. She's a huge LSU fan. She worked in the front office. She had my stack of diplomas. And when I got up to her, I was laughing and joking. And she said, did you hear? I said, did I hear what? She said, you didn't hear? I said, what? She says, the Nike's going to graduate. The kid name was the Nike Hollowell. You can look up his highlight film. He scored 25 touchdowns in one season. Unbelievable athlete. Led the state of Florida in rushing in 2013. But she said, the Nike's going to graduate. Someone just went to his house to get him. He's going to graduate.
Wow.
Instantly, Joe, my whole face full of water. I'm crying. I can't believe it. It's a miracle. But what he later told me, he said, Coach, you taught us to keep trying even if you fail. Like, and I didn't know I taught them that. I don't remember ever saying that. But he said, I just knew to keep going. Like failure is not the end. It's just part of it. Failure is a recipe to success. If you're going to be successful, you have to fail. Name me any athlete, name me any person, name me any movie star, any pop star, any politician. In the book, we talk about Abraham Lincoln. We talk about Bad Bunny. We talk about Paul in the Bible. Every walk of life, successful people have failed. And now he works in construction. He's a great father and husband. He's a great young man. Actually went to college for a little while. But he learned from failure. And now he's more resilient as a grown man because of what he went through as a high school student athlete.
Wow. My goodness, you got me fired up here. You got Mel Albin.
I mean, it blew my mind. She said, did you hear? He graduated. And I'm like, what? They said, he went to go get it. And he actually walked that day. And I had wrote it off. I want to say I gave up. But in my mind, he was going to graduate over the summer. In my mind, it was already, the window had closed. And I was wrong. It was a great, great day.
And the next call was that guidance counselor, right?
Hey, I'm not going to say her name. And I love her. She knows who she is, though. She knows exactly who she is.
Mel Albin, our producer, says my high school guidance counselor told my mother I wasn't college material. Two PhDs and an MBA later. Wow. Well, Mel, you know what a PhD stands for: piled higher and deeper.
Coming from a PhD.
Boom, shakalaka. Anyway, I've thought of kids, young people, in terms of reaching kids, is through the entrepreneurial window and a gateway. And I've often thought if kids can learn two things. Number one, how to deal with rejection, personal rejection. Hey, you're too young, you're too this, you're too that. I'm not going to buy from you, whatever it might be. Number two, if they can deal with objections. Well, I'm not ready yet. I don't have enough money in the bank. All these different objections. And so I developed I think we're back.
Yeah.
But where the kids would make $5,000 and just for selling ads, X number of ads, and they'd learn how to deal with objections and rejection, and use that as a grist for the mill, to learn about themselves, and make $5,000 for their group, and not sell candy bars and all that stupid crazy stuff. Where they make $63.12 after working for 3 weeks. And so, but it failed. I worked hard at this, Willie, for 2 years. And I'm talking, 12-hour days, just putting this in. Only one group did it. And I helped them through it. And my point being is that I still today can't figure out even the benefits that came from that, but it just, what was the genesis behind your book, We Should Fail More?
It's the number one question I get from students. Whenever I speak to students, some schools want me to do a Q&A at the end. And middle school students are going to ask silly questions. They're going to ask, who's the most famous person in your phone, and silly stuff like that. But when we get down to real questions, the number one real question I get is, what advice would you give to us or your younger self? And my answer is always, we should fail more. We don't teach you that in school. You high achieving students are afraid to try new things because they're afraid to fail. You for some reason you think this perfect record is going to help you in life. I've never met an employer that said, we're looking for a person that only makes straight A's their entire life. Here's another name to Google. Google Quint Studer.
Quint
Studer. I work for Quint Studer. He's a multi-millionaire in Pensacola, Florida. He's from Wisconsin. Wisconsin Whitewater University has several buildings with his name on it. Unbelievable guy. Hung out with him, been to his house. Quint, one day we're in a meeting, and a young lady was working with me, straight A student, magna cum laude, summa cum this, valedictorian, University of Florida, all just unbelievable, super smart, beautiful, just almost a perfect person. She's amazing. And she and others were bragging about their academic success, how smart they were. And Quint just walked in the room and walked out and came back in, and we were still talking about it. Now, I wasn't in that conversation. I graduated, but not with honors. But they were talking about how smart they were. And he said, yes, and you all worked for me, and I was a C student at best.
Wow.
And then he
boom.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Right? So there's something to be said about trying and failing. Nothing wrong with making straight A's. Nothing wrong with getting it. Nothing wrong. But there's something to be said about the entrepreneurial spirit of the person that's not afraid to take the shot. And those are the most successful people. Bill Gates and Elon Musk and whatever area of business you want to talk about, they tried things and it didn't work, and it didn't work, and it didn't work, and it didn't work, and then this one worked. And then they tried something else. Go to Steph Curry. Steph Curry, you and I, you're an NBA guy. You and I can argue right now if Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time, the greatest three-point shooter. And you would have all the data in the world, Joe. You would say his three-point shooting percentage is 43%. No one's ever had a percentage that high. He's made more three-pointers than anyone in history. Then I would say, but he's also missed more shots than anyone in history. Right? So how can he be the best when he's missed more than anyone? That's the best. Right? So the reason he's the best is because he takes the most shots. But for some reason, we don't want to fail.
Yeah.
But Steph Curry is a great failure, which makes him a great success.
Well, we got about 2 minutes before we got to wrap this up, and I hate to even say that, but when you think about speaking, you know, you're speaking is right up there with the fear of death when it comes to the fear scale, and speaking. What is the biggest failure you experienced speaking?
I was speaking at a middle school once, and the principal walked down the middle of the aisle in the auditorium and canceled the engagement in the middle of my speech.
Are you kidding? No way.
The middle of my speech. This is, I won't say the school, but this is probably 2012 or 13. Gee, in the middle of my speech. Stop.
That's crazy.
Stop it. No. Stop it. No. He gets on the microphone. This assembly is over. And this girl stands up in the school. This girl stands up and says, we finally have a good speaker and you stop him. That's why I hate this school. And it taught me a lot. It was embarrassing. It hurt. But man, I hope that never happens again. That was horrible.
Oh my, I can't even imagine that. Oh my goodness. Did they still pay you?
Yes, they did. Thank goodness. And I'll tell you what sparked it. This is a middle school. They had 8 students who were pregnant in middle school. You see, nowadays, teenagers don't get pregnant as much. That's a whole other topic. The research on that is tremendous. But they had 8 students within that school year that were pregnant. I didn't know that. When we sent them, we asked them what do they want us to talk about. They said, talk about making good choices. That's what they said. When my team looked up the statistics for that area, and they had a high teen pregnancy rate. So in my conversation, it wasn't a whole presentation. I just mentioned that you have your whole life to hump. Those are my words. You have your whole life to hump. I said, from my experience, the best way to hump is with your husband or wife. That's what I said. I said, there's no need to get it all out now. Just wait. I said, even a dog can hump. And I made the motion like a dog was humping on my leg, and I shook my leg, and the lady came up. No. She said, he can't talk about humping. No humping. And so the guy who brought me in, he said she was embarrassed because her daughter was one of the pregnant girls, and she thought I knew that. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me, Joe? Yeah.
Our time is up. And Lenny, I wish we could go into baseball being the only sport when you're only successful 1 out of 3 times at bat and you fail more than you win. You're considered great.
It's in the book.
Lenny, it's in the book. Hold the book up before we end here. And bring it close. It's We Should Fail More. Amazon, everywhere. And your website is?
WillieSpears.com.
Willie Spears, WillieSpears.com. Okay, Willie, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And I'm going to call you in a little bit on your phone, but thanks so much for hanging out.
Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, man. Thanks for having me.
You too. Thank you.
You have just experienced another episode of the Mischief Maker broadcast. Hit the subscribe button. Connect at chiefmischiefmaker.com. Thanks for coming along for the ride. And hopefully, you are now a bit closer to becoming a mischief maker in your part of the world.